Alright, y'all. I know I said my last video that I made would be my last time talking about the Devin Haney Lomachenko fight, but y'all, I just keep getting annoyed every time I go on YouTube and see stuff. I'm getting annoyed beyond measure. So, y'all, this fight right here is one of the biggest, this is one of the biggest overreactions to calling a fight a robbery ever in boxing history, right? People calling this fight a robbery. This is one of the biggest overreactions I've seen in this sport. I'm only 30 years old, but I've been watching this sport for real, with things that I can remember since I was about 6 or 7, right? But when I got about 12, I really understood what I was watching for real, right? Really understood things for sure, clear as day. I've never, this is one of the biggest overreactions I've ever seen. Calling this fight a robbery. Y'all, I don't care what entertainers, what boxers, former champions said, oh, Loma was robbed, he was robbed. He was not robbed. He was not. Okay? When I first watched this fight, the fight was this fight was razor thin close all the way through and through. Watching this fight, razor thin close. I wouldn't have been mad if it was called for Loma, if it was called in Devin's favor, or if it was called a draw. I've said that in so many videos because the fight was that damn close. Devin Haney took the earlier rounds clear to me. Majority of the earlier rounds up to the 8th round, I had that. If the fight ended in the 8th round, I had Devin win, right? Clearly. Lomachenko won a lot of the championship rounds except round 12. Devin won that round, right? So it was super needle thin close. But you got people out here acting like Devin was nowhere in the fight. He wasn't shit. He wasn't nowhere in the fight. Fam, those body shots that Devin was landing early in the fight, they were effective. And they slowed Lomachenko down, whether you like it or not. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, they were effective. He did great work in them rounds early. Great work. And Devin showed he's masterful in the craft of boxing, and he belongs on that elite level. Whether he got knockout power or not, whether you like watching him display the sweet science or not, whether you feel like he's a pillow puncher or not, the brother showed his class. As far as in that boxing ring, he showed his class in that ring. Right? You know, but at the end of the day, man, this is the thing. People don't like to admit this because they try to say this about Devin. Loma fought in spots. He fought in spots. Not consistently throughout in this fight. At the end of the fight, he'll make a little flurry at the end of the rounds. And then people want to get around to Lomachenko. Now, in the rounds 9 through 11, that's when he was getting busy. Particularly the 10th and 11th round, he was getting busy. And that's when he started to try to pile up and try to pummel Devin in those 2 rounds, the 10th and 11th round. Right? But as I said before, fights are not dictated by 2 rounds. There were no knockdowns in the 10th and 11th round. Fights are not dictated by 2 rounds. But this is how the human mind works. Whatever they're fresh off of seeing, whoever landed the most shots and then it's fresh in their mind because those tough shots that Devin took were in the 10th and 11th round. In their eyes, that's what they remember from the fight. So, oh, no way, robbery. Lomachenko won. Lomachenko whooped his ass because he got busy in the 10th and 11th round. No, fam, we not doing that. Loma lost several rounds early, which gave leverage to Devin Haney in the judges' eyes on the scorecards. Because for real, Loma lost them early rounds. A lot of them, right? Every round counts in the sport of boxing. Not just the later rounds, not just the championship rounds, not just the 10th and 11th round where Loma was getting off on Devin. Those are not the only rounds that count. But y'all trying to act like, oh, you saw the 10th and 11th round, how Devin was getting hit. Fam, this is boxing, dog. All 12 rounds are taken into consideration. They are scored based off all 12 rounds. No knockdowns were in this fight. No knockdowns took place. So, what are we talking about? It's crazy, though. And people making it seem like Paulie Malignaggi, you racist. If you got Devin winning this fight, you're a scumbag. You only wanted to see the white guy lose and all that shit. Get the fuck out of here, Paulie. You still mad AB took your side chick. He took your side broad and flipped her. And now you was crazy. You took my side, B. Took my side. All that hollering and screaming and all that shit you doing. You still mad about that shit. You wanted Devin to lose going into the fight because you don't fuck with Devin and his dad. You said first, you said they was never going to fight Lomachenko, which they did. Proved you wrong. Signed a contract. And now you were wishing and praying on Devin's downfall all the way through. So now you acting like you don't see a scenario where a decision could have been granted in Devin's favor, even though you know the sport of boxing very well. Watch that fight again, Paulie. But let me get back to my conversation. Because this is something to me, too. Lomachenko always got a fucking excuse every time he loses. Right? He never takes accountability for his losses, ever. In the Teofimo fight, it was his shoulder shit. No, dog. You were tentative because you were afraid of Teofimo Lopez's power. So then you came on later in the fight after you felt like you could take his punches. You came on later at the end of the fight, but at that point you gave too many rounds away. And Teofimo had put in some nice work early in the fight. He put in too much nice work early on in the fight to where he secured a lot of those earlier rounds. So by the time you tried to come on strong, it was too fucking late, right? You know, and I'm not trying to trash Lomachenko. He's an excellent fighter, future Hall of Famer. You know, I give him all credit for his road to boxing. He did not have an easy road at all. He went at champions during his first two fights. He went at champions, right? He had a hard road. I give him all credit for that. I respect him, right? But he didn't receive the victory the other night against Devin Haney. He was not granted the decision. Cry me a fucking river, dog. Cry me a fucking river. He didn't receive the victory, but to act like it's a robbery is the biggest overreaction ever. I said it could have went to Loma. It could have went to Devin. It could have been a draw. It was that fucking close. And again, on my second watch of this fight, with the commentary down low, I honestly can see why they gave Devin Haney the fight. Gave him the win. At first, I said it could be either way. Either way, I was cool with. Either way, Devin wins, Devin loses. Loma, if Devin wins, if Loma won, or if it was a draw, I was fine with either way because it was just that freaking close. But even after watching the fight, I can see why they gave Devin the victory, right? But yeah, man, Lomachenko, he was losing rounds early in every single one of his losses. Losing rounds early in every single one of his losses. Took too long to wake up and make the rallies that he made. Took too long to wake up. And by the time he got to waking up and getting in the groove, shit, a lot of the rounds, the young boys took the earlier rounds. So it was too late. You know what I mean? And then there was stuff where it was rounds where Loma did stuff. He did stuff in the rounds at the end of the round. After losing majority of the round, at the end of the round, he made some flurries at the end. But that's not a Lomachenko round, dog. That's a Devin round. If you know how to score boxing, you know. So all of this, man, is all these other fighters, fam. When another fighter make excuses, when other fighters make excuses about their losses, they're clowned out, they're trashed, they're ridiculed. Look at Deontay Wilder, right? How he got trashed and ridiculed and all this and all of that. Look at all these other fighters when they lose. Teofimo Lopez, when they lose, they get trashed. When Loma lose, and he got all these excuses, everybody take it and just, oh, he really meant it, man. It's Loma, it's Loma. Everybody always try to, they take it into all consideration when he got all these excuses. He never takes accountability for his losses, ever. And he never will, because y'all got excuses for every single time he fucking loses. Like, he clearly lost that Teofimo Lopez fight. Clearly. You got people... He only lost because of the shoulder. Bro, if his shoulder wasn't right, he should have never signed off on a fucking fight. Wait until you good then, if your shoulder ain't good. Because we don't want to hear that shit after you get into a fight and you lose. Nobody want to hear none of that shit. You know what I mean? And I told you, him crying at the end is going to make Devin look even worse. It make Devin look like public enemy number one. So he should wear the villain hat, wear the black hat, be the villain. Fuck it. Let's go balls to the wall with this shit. Hey, I'm the villain now. It is what it is. I am the antagonist. And we can make a whole lot of money off of this, which it should be as lame because Devin isn't a knockout artist. So people aren't going to pay to see him fight, to see him win. A lot of people aren't. But let them pay to see you lose then. Just like Floyd Mayweather did. Take that recipe, sharpen your skills, hone your craft even sharper than it already is, and play the villain. Because they already hate you anyway. He public enemy #1, right? But this is my thing with Lomachenko. Everybody always got something to say, but everybody else got excuses. When Loma got excuses, they take the excuses into consideration, and they cover him, and they all so low, bro, cause he crying after the fight. Now they, oh my fucking God, I hate you, Devin. I hate you. You took this away from Loma. You took it away from him. Right, get the fuck out of here, dog. Crying and shit. Cause he crying. Now we finna be, now there's no way Devin could have won cause Loma crying now. And cause all the other boxers say it too. Tell their ass go back and watch the fight. Cause you know how many times, again, I was saying that, oh, even when a guy was granted a win and I felt like a scorecard was too wide, the margin was too wide, I would go back and watch fights and say, oh, I can see why they gave him that. I can see why that probably was a score. I can see that. You know what I mean? When guys were granted certain decisions, I went back and watched the fight and say, damn, okay, I can see that. Tell them same dudes who were former fighters to come and watch that fight again, sit them down in the room with no commentary, have them watch that fight again and ask them their opinion after that. Okay? Give a fuck what they said because they former fighters. A lot of former fighters said Manny Pacquiao. They said Manny Pacquiao beat Floyd Mayweather. And that's the furthest thing from the fucking truth. So, you know, it's crazy, man. You know, this is the thing too. ESPN went out of their way for years to try to hide Lomachenko's losses. When he lost to Salido, they had a image saying that he was that Lomachenko was an undefeated champion. When he lost to Orlando Salido in his second fight, dog. You know? They was trying to dismiss that fight. They was trying to dismiss that loss for the longest, take it off of his record. They tried to downplay the Teofimo Lopez loss. But now that he got 3, you can't downplay 3 losses, dog. You can't do that. And it doesn't make you a non-elite fighter. It doesn't mean you're a trash fighter if you have 3 losses at all. But ESPN and all of the stands, his fans were trying to hide that shit for the longest of time. Trying to cover those losses for him. Okay, he just lost the other night in a fight that could have gone either way. It was razor thin and close. But y'all out here acting like the man was robbed. That was not a robbery. Well, a robbery was what we saw Rolly Romero fight Ismael Barroso or something like that. He fought for the 40-year-old who looked like he was 65. That was a robbery right there when Rolly was granted that a knockout win, where the dude wasn't even getting touched when Tony Weeks called the fight off. That's a robbery. That let me know. If y'all think that's a robbery, y'all ain't been watching boxing long enough. If you think that's a robbery. There's been plenty of robberies in boxing. Jeff Horn, Manny Pacquiao, that's a robbery. Tim Bradley, Manny Pacquiao, that's a robbery. Okay? Pernell Whitaker fought Chavez. That's a robbery. Okay? That's a robbery, man. So, you know, it just kills me, man. It kills me. Pernell Whitaker, Julio Cesar Chavez, that's a robbery. There's so many dang on robberies in boxing, but for y'all to say that Devin and Loma is a robbery, knock it off. Knock it off. That fight was razor thin close. Devin did great work in that fight in order to establish himself to win those rounds early. And he the champion. And y'all trying to treat Devin like he the challenger because Loma went over to the war to go help Ukraine. Honorable, showing patriotism for your country. That's honorable. I salute that dog. Admirable, valiant of him to do that. But what that got to do with the fact that Devin, he went and got the job done against George Kambosos, not once, but twice in George Kambosos' hometown. And he took less money to do it. And now he the champion. And if you the champ, you got to whoop the champ's ass clear as day to get the belts. He didn't whoop Devin's ass clear as day throughout that fight, throughout majority of the rounds. He whooped on Devin for 2 rounds, the 10th and 11th round, but not for the majority of the rounds. He didn't. He didn't win majority of he didn't win a majority of the rounds decisively for you to be like, that's a robbery. I feel like neither fighter won them extremely decisively all the way around throughout the majority of the fight to say it was a robbery in either direction. But on second time watching it, I can see why they gave Devin the victory. But again, I wouldn't have been mad if Loma got the win, if Devin got the win, if it was a draw. because it was just that close. Guys were having their great moments. But to act like Loma thoroughly outclassed Devin Haney, you out your mind. You're out of your mind. If you think that Devin was clearly outclassed and beat up on